UK, or rather England, is moving to its second lockdown. Second lockdown. Second lockdown. It's reported by CNN. Take that for whatever way that you may. England will enter a second national lockdown in the coming days. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced the decision came hours after the UK passed the grim milestone of 1 million coronavirus. Here's everybody's favorite word now. Cases. Cases. Everybody cares only about the cases now. Cases. The month-long shutdown will come into effect from Thursday after a preliminary vote, or parliamentary vote, early next week. Johnson said during a news conference Saturday evening, we must act now to contain the autumn surge. Johnson was forced to make the announcement on Saturday after the government's plans were leaked to numerous national newspapers. The previous evening, the plan had been initially to announce the measures on Monday. The strict lockdown will see the closure of pubs, restaurants, and non-essential businesses. Wow. Including hair salons and gyms. Schools, university, and playgrounds will stay open. People will only be able to leave their homes for specific reasons: education, work, to shop for food, or health reasons, or for exercise and recreation outdoors, either with that person's household or with one person from another household. The government is discouraging all non-essential travel, though people will still be able to travel abroad for work, providing they follow England's quarantine rules upon their return. The measures will only apply to England, as healthcare is handled by the devolved governments of Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The shutdown will remain in place until December the 2nd. Holy wow. So they're about to lock y'all down for a month. Actually, it's not funny. It's not even funny. At which point, Johnson hopes the virus will be sufficiently under control to enable England to tackle the virus once again on a region-by-region basis. Look, guys, and notice, again, what was it? What are they talking about? Cases. For whatever reason, the world has opted to start focusing on cases. Right. And mainly, I believe that it's because, well, you can't really point to deaths as much anymore because you see the survival rate and it just continues to climb. And now they have to focus on just people getting the virus or having the virus altogether. Never mind the fact that the testing has higher false positive rates, because they can be fairly interactive. What am I talking about? Fairly inaccurate. Excuse me. They can be fairly dishonest. Let's call it what it is. And we mass test. People can get tests for free. People can get them virtually at any time. Unlike anything that we've ever experienced. We've treated no virus like this before, guys. Where we just have mass forms of testing. And it's like it's the only thing that exists. It's like one of the more lethal viruses that you can catch. Or one of the more less lethal sicknesses and illnesses. There's plenty of other illnesses that have a way higher, let's say, death rate, or you have a higher chance of dying than you do of COVID-19. Yet we're testing for it so much, and we're going to shut the country down for it. They're entering a second lockdown, and we're also seeing this happen in other aspects of the world. And the funny thing is that you had all these deranged leftists who had been advocating this, though it has not been exclusive to, let's say, the Democratic Party in America. I remember I said leftists. Republicans, they can be leftists too. Make no mistake. Nonetheless, you had seen this happen. And they would say, we would have the virus under control if we just adopted the methods of, let's say, some countries like Europe in Europe, that are doing lockdowns and more streaming than they were able to get over the hump. What hump did they get over? Because not only did you get your, that's another funny thing, right? They talked about the mask mandates, right? If you just had a mask mandate, you could get on with your life. That's all. It's just a mask. It's just a mask. So now, inner exhibit Pimp My Ride meme right here. So now we heard you liked mask mandates. So now we gave you mask mandates with your lockdowns. So that you can have mask mandates and lockdowns. That's what you got. So apparently they didn't get it under control. Because here we are entering second, third lockdowns in certain places. They are playing with your lives, people. And if you're in the UK, I feel sorry for you. I don't think that in places in America, and pockets in America, I don't think that they're far away from it. I don't. I think that they have successfully tricked people into being scared about something that they have a 99% chance of surviving for the most part. If you got comorbidities, it's maybe 96% chance of surviving. Unbelievable. And we're entering another lockdown. So let's recap. They were ineffective. They said we had to do what they had to do. The lockdowns, all the restrictions and all that. They just had to do it. Right. And if they didn't do it, it would be bad and then blah, blah, blah. But OK, fine. We did it. Now we get to reopen and do all of this stuff. Obviously, what they had deemed in terms of a metric, I guess, of one of the few metrics that they ever will point to as in terms of success, really, they moved the post and there's no real metric or measure that we can kind of point to say, OK, what exactly are we looking for before we can move to some sense of normalcy like we had before. But they, in terms of what they were trying to identify, they were wrong in their predictions. OK, they're little experts or public health officials. They were wrong in their predictions. And then they were wrong about the required restrictions that they had to implement. And they implemented them and it didn't work in regards to whatever it is that they said they were trying to get to, because they're entering into another lockdown. Guys, they're playing with y'all's lives. And that's the thing that sucks, because we know that there are business owners that are not getting on the other side of this. Right? It's one of the biggest wealth transfers probably in any recent history, as you have those big groups like the Amazons of the world that have been to take over particular markets, because this sort of setup benefits how they generally do business, whereas the other people have to close down their businesses, or they're operating under such crap restrictions that they're basically operating at a loss, and they're having to dip in their savings and stuff like that. And the bigger businesses can, of course, sustain that for a longer period of time versus a short period of time when you're dealing with smaller businesses that cannot withstand operating at a loss for so long. And we need to be more precise when we talk about what's making this take place, or why this is taking place. This is taking place, okay? Being clear as possible. This is not the virus that did it. We talk about COVID did something. COVID didn't do jack. COVID did nothing but maybe get a couple of people sick. And yeah, it did kill some people. Viruses do that. Specifically, it killed a lot of old people. But it's the government, the states, and the restrictions that put these people out of work, that destroyed their businesses. And that, again, when you talk about wealth transfers to the Amazons of the world, right, you need to look no further than the government. So when we get on the other side of this, if we ever get on the other side of this, okay, When we get on the other side of this, please do not blame capitalism, which is what these crackhead ass leftists will blame. And this is what kills me about these idiots, because you will sit here and watch where you have copious, just so much regulation within the market, restrictions within the market that are set by way of the state, and then have nerve to try to blame capitalism. No, you're on crack. Shut up. Blame the state. That's what y'all advocate. That ain't what me. That's not what I'm advocating. That's not what anarcho-capitalists are advocating. We're precisely advocating the complete opposite. I cannot believe, well, actually, I can believe that we're talking about this again. And I knew it because we're entering in a new flu season. So here we are. This was kind of an inevitable thing that was going to happen. It sucks so bad, and I feel for everybody that has lost their businesses or not getting on the other side of this and have their industries that have been completely derailed. And again, it's not because people aren't willing to utilize your services or utilize your goods. It's because the government has essentially made it impossible, expensive, or completely restricted them from being able to made it illegal for them to be able to purchase your goods or your services. I feel for y'all.